How you prepare for a golf tournament?
Well, I hit balls maybe 20 minutes, putt a little bit, smoke 4 or 5 cigarettes, drink 3 Diet Cokes, and go to the first tee. Some days I won't even go to the range.
Welcome in. It's a Thursday, August 15th. It's another glorious edition of the Daily Puck Drop, hashtag the DPD. We are broadcasting from the Puck Sports Studios. It's built by Limbach Lumber. Gord Limbach Lumber, the best in the business. They offer free deliveries and have the largest stock moldings around, certainly in the Northwest. Old school services because they've been doing it since 1930. Whether you're a small contractor or a DIYer, Limbach Lumber is going to help you out, get all your projects done for you. They're fast, they're reliable, personable, and they've got that personal touch that they carry there with them. Give them a call at 206-782-3487 or visit the fine folks at Limbach Lumber at limbachlumber.com. Puck Sports Studios built by Limbach Lumber. All right, what do we got on the show today? It's a Thursday. That means NFL stuff. We got Rob Staten from a boat today doing the show. Of course, he and Garofolo, those episodes come out at 1 o'clock today. Garofolo, I believe, is on his way to a golf lesson. So we'll talk to our two NFL guys / Seahawks guys as we're getting closer and closer to the start of the football season. We'll talk about that Mariners disaster game last night, and they certainly touch in on some of the stuff that happened from the scrimmage or the joint practices with the Seahawks and Titans. No Jim today. Again, he's always on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the Daily Puck Drop. We're going to keep this one a little bit shorter today. And tell me in the feedback on YouTube, which is the primary place that you can give feedback, or you can email the show at puck@pucksports.com. Again, the email puck@pucksports.com. How do you like the length of these things? Do you like them longer? Do you like them shorter? They tend to always be longer when Jim's here or we have a guest, but when it's just me, do we like them? Give me the like at 20, 30, 40 minutes? Tell us. Of course, all comments, feedback galore. We love it. Puck@pucksports.com, or leave us a comment there on YouTube. Of course, like, subscribe, comment away on all the different platforms, including YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. All right. What will she start with? We have to start with the Mariners. I guess. We'll start with the Los Marineros. They lose yesterday. 10 innings. You know that. Heartbreaking fashion. It's funny. When my son plays football and I kind of help out his football team and we're at practice and we're watching the game, like all the coaches and us, we're kind of following the game on our phones. And I'm like, it's 1-0. Then Julio dumps the single and it's 2-0. I'm like, we all said the same thing. God dang it, man. They're just going to blow it. Somehow, some way, they haven't scored enough runs against the Tigers on a bullpen start, and they just are going to blow it in the end. And then not paying attention, we're going through, drills and stuff, and I look back down at my phone, it buzzes, because the game's over, and I'm like, they effing lost. You just knew it. I knew they were going to lose. When they went through, an entire game against a bullpen, again, against a starter in their bullpen. What, they used 6 guys last night? And they didn't get the win. And it's just tough one, heartbreaking, whatever you want to call it. Just wasted Brian Wu, who was sensational. And Wu has been great all season long. The guy's given up 3 earned runs in his last 4 starts. What's been encouraging about Wu, real quickly, is we start with the positive. He's gone 7 innings twice in the last 3 starts. Sandwich in between that was 6 2/3, but the pitch counts 92, 88, 85. So he's starting to build up more and more and more, but just wasted it again. And that's been the theme all season long because the offense is just so maddening. They're just awful because I can't spit that out. They're just so frustrating. How about that? I'll use that one. They're just, God, they'll have games where they look great and the other games they're just terrible. And they some of these lesser teams, they just sit there and they cannot take advantage of. And they're really, Jim asked this question last week and he's right. There really is not a huge difference between these two teams other than like top to bottom. Seattle's got a better pitching staff, but offensively, I think you clearly would take Detroit what they're offering up. I don't think there's a huge gap. There's only 5 games separate them. But again, the offense, 5 hits, 2 runs, and a bullpen game for Detroit. They used 6 pitchers. They couldn't advance the ghost runner there in the 10th inning. I mean, it's probably only been a few times, but doesn't it feel like they've done that a lot, where they just haven't advanced that runner from second base? Jesus. Huge top. Yimi Garcia, of course, in the 8th inning. He gets 2 quick outs. Verlin gets the double. Carpenter just misplaces a four-seam fastball, and Carpenter sends it in the right field seats. I can't wait to not see Kerry Carpenter again. So his first rough outing as a Mariner for Yimi Garcia. I think we'll get into the decision there by Andres Munoz. I understand what Servais is trying to do. He's talked about this. If they were at home, it changes the scenario. Had they taken the lead, he'd been back out there. I get all that. Sometimes you got to stop managing before the game. Just go with the game sometimes. And that is sometimes really frustrating with him. I just think he has planned it out so much sometimes, which is good. I think you should always plan out scenarios before a game. But you got to adjust on the fly. He threw 10 pitches. 10. Send him back out. He's your best relief pitcher. Think about what he has done here. He had more. He can go one more. I know it's not how you want to use him. You are in a pennant race right now. I know he understands that. I know he gets that. Use him again. I mean, Snyder has been good for him. Okay, and I understand the confidence in him, but you can use him one more inning later after you take the lead. But he last pitched. This is, I think, the problem with how he's handled Munoz. He last pitched on August 10th. Okay, and he threw 9 pitches when he did that. So before that, before the August 10th performance, the last time he pitched was August 3rd. So since August 4th, the best reliever on your baseball team has pitched twice, and he's throwing a total of 19 pitches. What are you saving him for? Like what? Because you want to have him available so you can use him more at the end of the season. If you keep managing games like this, the last week of the season won't matter. You've got to. You've had a 10-game lead. Now has been reduced all the way to now a deficit where you trailed Houston by 2.5 games. Here's the other reason why I would have used him and why it would go against what he planned before the game or what he has planned all season long. It's okay to always adjust on the fly. It's okay to do things differently. He said, look who was coming up in the order. He wasn't facing the heart of the order. He was facing the bottom of the order. He was facing Malloy, McKinstry, and then they pitch it with Badu. The 7, 8, 9 hitters. I mean, what are we doing? Just throw them back out there. Hold them, go take the lead, and then you can use Snyder to win the game. I think he's more concerned at times of managing for the future than the present with these guys. You got to manage with the present and try to win the game. Just a frustrating performance. They're all frustrated. It doesn't feel like it's slipping away, but man, God, it's why they can't perform against teams that they should be beating is mind-boggling. And we talked about it with Divish yesterday. I guarantee those Tigers, saw the comments, read the comments, how much motivation they're using it. But yeah, they heard what Haniger said. Guarantee after that last game where Haniger's, we're just better than them. We should beat them. Well, you don't look better than them. They look better than you. The other thing that came out of the game yesterday was Julio Rodriguez aggravated his ankle. I would assume most people watched the game. I went back and just looked at the highlights. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. Seemed like it happened early, like in the 2nd inning on that infield single. Because he breaks out, he runs pretty hard. He ran he was like 30 miles an hour. I think what the StatCast had it, that he ran up baseline, which is, I think, the average in the MLB's 27. So he was busting his ass to get up first base. Looked like he had aggravated it then. And then later in the game, getting out of a pitch, tweaks it there, then, bloops the single into the outfield, and then, they pull him out of the game. What I don't understand for some of you people, listen, I can bitch and moan with the best of them. There's some of you out there that love to really just bitch about everything with this team. And I don't get the criticism of Julio Rodriguez. I really, really don't. There's a group out there that is bitching about him coming back. I believe it's the same group that would complain if he wasn't back. The guy is playing through an injury. Shouldn't we, in a weird way, celebrate a guy that wants to play through an injury? And yes, maybe he can't play in center field right now, but he has said, I want to contribute the best way I can. We're in a pennant race. I can at least hit. I'll try to take it easy on the bases. And he was hitting before the injury, by the way. I want to contribute. I don't want to let this season slip away. That's what he's doing. That's what he's saying. He's saying, I know I can't be 100%, but at least I'm 80, 75%. And I think that 75% I can at least hit. It doesn't hurt me that bad. But Robles can play center field. And he's playing okay. So let him do that. And I'll DH. But there's some of you out there that aren't happy about that. That's not good. That it's wrong what they're doing. What is wrong with you people? Like, you're the same people that when, and again, I'm going to compare two sports that we hate comparing, that celebrated Russell Wilson coming back from a high ankle sprain that should have knocked him out. And you probably sat up there and, God, what a tough son of a bitch. Man, playing through that pain, taping it up, drinking that water. Oh, that was for the concussion, right? God, football players are tough. They just play through injuries. It's exactly what Julio Rodriguez is doing. He's trying to play through an injury, which is a high ankle sprain. The doctors and trainers have told him he can't make it worse. Okay. Let him go out there and play. No one is 100% out there or close to it. Cal Raleigh's 100%. Guy playing through pain all the time. That's what he's trying to do right now. I don't know, man. Instead of bitching about it, why don't you celebrate it a little bit more? That what he's trying to do. He's trying to be a leader. He's trying to be a superstar. He hasn't had a great season. He was playing better before he got hurt. And he's trying to put the team on his back and get him into the postseason. It's kind of doing what Russell Wilson did, if you think back to the high ankle sprain when he taped it up. I mean, people thought he should never have played. He should have been out for the season or weeks and months. But he came back. Hell, I don't even know if he missed a game. And he played. Yeah, the weird fascination with complaining about this guy is just odd to me. It just really, really, really is. Yeah, just count me in as old school guy, kind of tip your cap. And I love that he's out there busting his ass and grinding to be on the field and helping his team out. Yeah, he's clear he's not 100%. You can see it. He's not even probably 80%, like I said earlier. Like you saw, in that first inning or the second inning. But he's trying. You would rather have his bat in the lineup than not. Who else do you want to DH? The same person that doesn't want him playing right now complains about that we don't have any DHs. Okay, you want Haniger to DH? What do you want? All right. They have a game this morning, so as you're listening or watching this, they're probably, the third or fourth inning. Bryce Miller's on the mound. They're going with another bullpen start, so we'll just see how the offense does. We covered yesterday on the under. So 39, 44, and 2 on the season. Today's total is 7.5. Godspeed, Mariners. And then tomorrow, Paul Skeens against Logan Gilbert. God, that's going to be a great matchup there on Apple TV. The Seahawks, let's transition over to the Seahawks show real quick. The Seahawks had their joint practice, their first one yesterday with the Titans. All looked pretty well. Titans look like they have a real crappy facility, by the way. Just the looks of it. Just looks like you compare the video and the pictures that come out of like the Seahawks training facility and all the images and how beautiful it looks. It's green. and they're on the trees are everywhere. They're on a lake. And then you see some of these other places like Tennessee, the grass is brown. Looks like they're in the middle of nowhere. It looks awful. Just be happy. Like you're a Seahawks player, man. Just be happy of where you play at, where you train at. It just seems like yesterday, all the reports coming out of it, that this was a kind of more like McDonald and Ryan Grubb installing a ton more, like showing the full arsenal of things. And in all the reports and everything that you read from all the reporters that are there, Brady and Bob and Greg, those guys are all there saying that that it looked way different than you've seen before. Certainly what you saw against the Chargers, opening up the playbook, moving guys around defensively for McDonald, showing a lot more looks for Grubb. Again, offense more expanded, probably certainly more what you're going to see in the season. And, the feedback was they passed it with flying colors. Looked great. No more. The person that passed probably with the most flying colors continues to be the guy that is just stealing a training camp. And it's hard not to get way overly excited about Byron Murphy. Their first round pick. John Boyle asked this question yesterday during the press conference.
The line of scrimmage, Byron Murphy was being disruptive again. Yep. Do you find yourself having to kind of temper the excitement at all for you, because he's a rookie and
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, didn't do anything.
Were you able to catch up?
That's it. I love it from McDonald. He's talked early on about how he just does not want to probably praise him way too much, but it's hard not to. And it just seems like every time that you read a report or a recap from a practice or from this joint practice, or you watch the first preseason game, the thing that comes out of it right away is just how good he is, how fast he is, how physical he is, how well he's already adapted to the sport, or to the sport. I mean, adapted to the level of play at the NFL level. I mean, this is what they have been missing forever. A presence inside on that defense. God, they've been missing that forever. It has just been so void for this defense for so long. And it's just so tantalizing now that they finally have a big guy in the middle that is just going to hopefully wreak havoc and be a problem. And I can't wait to watch him, when it's full go when the season starts, and see what he can do and see how potentially dominant he can be. It's hard not to get too overly excited about him. I asked this question. I put it out on Twitter at Puck2040. You can follow there. Same handle there for Instagram as well. When's the last dominant defensive lineman that they've had? Interior defensive lineman. The last dominant one. Brandon Mebane? I don't know. 2007, 2014, 15, I think it was. I don't know how dominant there was periods where he was dominant, but when I'm saying dominant, I'm just talking absolute just game wrecker. I'm not sure Brandon Mebane, I would classify him as dominant or game wrecker. He was sensational. He was real, real good. Dare I say it? That's what I said on social media. You don't want to get too carried away and start comparing him to Cortez Kennedy. They don't look the same in terms of their body style and necessarily how they play. Murphy obviously looks just like Aaron Donald. Hopefully he can play like Aaron Donald. But yeah, I think you got to go all the way back to since they've had someone that they plug in the middle that can just wreck another team's offense. And that's what you hope that you have in Byron Murphy. And the fact is that every time that he was challenged early on in camp, remember that with McDonald, basically called him, overweight, needs to be in better shape. He heard that. He came back, was more prepared, better in shape, and his motor since, McDonald way back then during rookie minicamp challenged him. Motor has been nonstop for Byron Murphy. I love Cortez Kennedy. Cortez Kennedy and my mom were friends. He would help my mom work for Delta Airlines, and Cortez, for somehow, some way, my mom worked in the reservations, and somehow through her connections with the Seahawks and then a charity, her and Tez became friends, and then she became basically her personal or his personal flight planner and I can't think of a better word, and would just handle all of his fights. So we got to know him a little bit, and she did. And he's just an awesome human being. Was an awesome human being. Just a fabulous football player, and he was so good. It sucked that he had to play on those teams that were so bad. But we haven't seen one. We haven't seen someone since Tez really dominate the interior defensive line. And right now, it just seems like every time that you pick up your paper, you flip on the computer and read a story on the Seahawks, it's just the first things mentioned is Byron Murphy and just how good he's been. So continue to watch that. The Titans and Seahawks will have another joint practice today. No fisticuffs. Jamal Adams chirping. That was about it, but no fisticuffs. That's disappointing. Looks like Tariq Woolen did well. Calvin Ridley talking about Woolen after the joint practice yesterday. He looks poised to have a breakout season. It feels like, and it's probably obvious that the strength of this football team right now is that secondary. Just seems that they got a real potential to be real damn special, and probably the best secondary they've had, since the Legion of Boom. So the Seahawks and Titans will have their scrimmage coming up on Saturday. We're not going to see any of the starters. Hopefully Connor Williams comes back next week, or actually debuts next week. He hasn't come back because he just got here. So all positive signs there from the Seahawks and Titans from their joint practice yesterday. Great idea by Mike McDonald. This is something that they probably, because of where Seattle is, it's hard to do these, and you certainly don't want to do it the Rams, because they're in your division, and the Niners, all these teams that are closer. But it's cool that they're doing it, and something they probably should have been done. They didn't do it under Holmgren. They didn't do it under Carroll, but I like that Mike McDonald has done this. All right, let's get to Hey, What the Puck as we wrap up the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. Hey, What the Puck? Sports, non-sports stories. It's brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Shout out to Trent, who runs that fine establishment. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. Phone number 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Again, they're going to take care of you top to bottom. Any damages to your commercial property or residential property, and you're overwhelmed by everything, you want a company that just does it all for you, top to bottom, takes care of it all. Those are your fine folks there at Restoration One, North Seattle franchise. All right, hey, back to the Mariners. Can we? This is more of a commentary. Can we please stop with this nonsense of moving Julio out of center field? Please stop it. I know there's a play yesterday, and I get in the 10th inning. You don't want a bloop to fall in front of Robles, and then that guy scores from second base. Verling scores from second base. I felt like he was playing way too shallow. Maybe it's the park's big, but it went over his head again. He's had several balls go over his head, and I love Victor Robles. I love him to death. He's not a better center fielder than Julio Rodriguez. Can we please stop that? He's not. Julio is a Gold Glove finalist. Julio, before he got hurt, is like top 5 in damn near almost every metric in center fielders. He's a great center fielder. He's real good. Real good. You don't replace him with Victor Robles. Victor Robles plays in the corner. Now, down the line in the future, if you want to save him and not injure him at some point, do you move Julio? Yeah, but we're not there yet. But please, no more. We're moving Julio out of center field talk. I can't take it anymore. It's about as nauseating as how is Dak and the Cowboys going to do this year, okay? I don't want to hear anymore. Hey, South Hill Little League World Series. We established this yesterday, the Daily Puck Drop with Jim. Jim's betting a lot on the Little League World Series. Is it rock bottom? We do this every year. It may be rock bottom. I think it is, but you know what? They televise it. They've got lines. Why not? But South Hill knows who they're going to play. They're going to play the team from Florida on Friday. So tomorrow, 4 o'clock, I'm going to promote this again for everyone that wants to go watch it with a group of people down in the south end of Puyallup. The Loose Wheel is hosting a watch party for the South Hill Little League team taking on Florida. So good luck to South Hill tomorrow. ESPN, 4 o'clock watch party. Loose Wheel. Some news on Root Sports that, obviously will affect probably the future of the Mariners and what's going to happen to them. Blazers announced yesterday that they are not going to spend one more year on Root Sports. They are leaving a year before their contract is up. They're going to go with a local channel, similar to what the Kraken did, with the Kraken going to King and Kong. So the Blazers are going to go to a local channel down there, and then obviously probably have an app, some way to stream it, just like the Kraken are doing. Now what's left for the Mariners, because the Mariners now are the only thing on Root Sports. Seems like all indications are that the Mariners will remain at least one more year on Root before deciding what to do. All I would say to the Mariners in the making this decision, one, whatever you do, you stay on Root, fine. And I want whoever works, certainly we talked to two people that work in front of the camera with Bill and Brad, and of course there's Angie and Jen and others that contribute. I want everybody to keep their job. So wherever it goes, I want people to have work, and that behind the scenes people too that we don't get to see. But if you do stay there one more year, they've got to somehow make it where you don't have to get, whether it's Fubo or you have cable, some type of alternate streaming service like the Kraken are going to do, and like no doubt the Blazers are going to do, so people can just watch them. You've got to make it easier. MLB's got to lift the blackout restrictions, which would just be the easiest thing to do. Just lift it so people can watch them. But, we'll see if they stay there, the Mariners. No doubt will probably just be one more year, and then it's one and done. And then we'll figure out what the new home for the Mariners will be. But the Blazers parting ways there with Root Sports. Pass this along again because it's August 15th. Next week, we are leaving on a 10-day road trip. We're taking Goldie up to Penticton in Canada, then driving through Canada over the Rockies, and then down into Glacier. So we'll be gone for about 10 days. They're on a road trip, so we won't have shows starting on the 21st through Labor Day, but there'll be shows up there. We're going to pre-record some Seahawks preview. We're going to record a Cougars preview with Paul Sorensen and Jim Moore, and then our Husky Roundtable preview, which we'll be doing in the fall with Jordan Reffett and Elise Woodward. So we'll have all of those. Oh, also we'll have for you during that time we're away the first installment of the Cougs Corner, the Jake Dickert Show that we are going to unveil this year. I've teased it yesterday and the previous days that we're going to be doing multiple shows with Jake Dickert throughout the college football season, along with other Cougar coaches as well. So there'll be content up there for you. Just a little R&R there for the Puckett families. We take Goldie, and fingers crossed she survives. I will periodically check in. Don't worry about it. Last thing before we wrap up, hey, what the puck? September 9th, I'm going to say it again, September 9th, Daily Puck Drop goes live at 10 a.m. Daily Puck Drop will go live at 10 a.m. on YouTube, X, and additional platforms, including hopefully one where you can listen on your phone. But September 9th, Daily Puck Drop's going to go live. That will include our guests as well. Some will be live, some will be recorded as well. Dirty little secret that, people in our radio industry never want to tell you that stuff's recorded. But we're going to go live starting on September 9th. Just file that away. All right, that's it for Hey, What the Puck? Again, brought to you by Restoration One, locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. It's a Thursday, so that means it's heavy, heavy football. Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network, Rob Staten from Seahawks Draft Blog. Those episodes will drop at 1 o'clock today. All right, so find them on all the platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. The Daily Puck Drop every day at 10 a.m. Again on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, your one-stop shop. All of that can be found at pucksports.com. Thank you so much. Always appreciate the support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you a little bit later today. As always, let's hear it. We promise to be better.
No shirt, no shoes, no dice.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!